South Africa's core industry has gone. They couldn't face up to that, although it might indeed make economic sense.
The National Union of Metalworkers of South Africa, NUMSA, have ended their nearly 3-week strike in the steel sector. Joining me to discuss is Jonathan Katzenellenbogen. He is a journalist with the online newspaper, The Daily Friend. Jonathan, welcome back to the CRA channel. Could you tell our viewers what are the details of this wage settlement? Because it seems that NUMSA got less than they were bargaining for.
Yes, that's correct. They wanted an 8% initial, and then they wanted CPI plus 2%. And if CPI wasn't at a certain amount, they wanted a definitive amount above that. So what in the end they settled for was, instead of the 8%, they're getting 6% for the lowest paid members of their union and 5% for the highest paid grades. And in subsequent years, there's 2 subsequent years, so they're getting CPI plus 0.5 in the first and CPI plus 1% in the second. So it's a lot below what they asked for, but where one doesn't really know if their opening bid was really for which they went on strike, was really a bargaining posture, as it usually is. But, they're settling for less than they wanted for, and the strike was going on. They were losing money, and the steel sector was losing money as well. So I think that they had to settle matters. And also, business conditions are pretty poor, and there's the prospect of further layoffs in the industry as a result of the increase, particularly at the lower end, the lowest paid members of the workforce.
Enjoying this analysis? Click here to sign up for our 30-day free trial for more content from the CIA.
Okay, Jonathan, and last week, Friday, we had you on the channel where we were discussing the waning power of NUMSA, and it certainly seems that that thesis of yours was vindicated. It seems that they've kind of fallen back into a rather weak position here.
Yes, I think so. They've settled after, 2 and a bit weeks is a long time to go on strike, really. You have your members probably complaining. They're facing economic hardship. That the longer the strike goes on, the more people are going to be laid off, and that the industry is in a bad way as it is. So, but the crucial issue for NUMSA now is that they want to extend the settlement to non-parties, and it's really doubtful that they'll be able to do so. In their statement issued this morning, what they said was that they're going to ask the minister to put it all into law and gazette it. But the problem is for NUMSA is that the Labour Court, after a series of court actions over the past 5 years by the National Employers Association of South Africa, NIASA, have effectively overturned this concept of collective and centralized bargaining for the entire sector. And it can't be, although the Labour Relations Act says it should be extended, it can't be extended, and under a series of Labour court decisions. So it's unlikely, even if they go to court, that they can extend the settlement. And this is a big change.
So, Jonathan, this week you wrote an article for the Daily Friend where you were speaking about the perfect storm in the steel sector. And I think some of the trends that you alluded to earlier are certainly quite significant. And our analyst in the CRA team, Beki Mahlobo, who often appears on this channel, he wrote a letter in the Business Day indicating that the high commodity prices globally, not necessarily to the benefit of the local steel sector, because it means that input costs also rise. Could you reflect for a moment on just what are the conditions in the steel sector in South Africa? Because I think that that's going to have broader economic effects beyond the sector.
Well, there's been flat growth across the sector since 2013 and no significant export growth whatsoever. It's uncompetitive. There are severe cost pressures. Firstly, we all suffer from the severe pressures of high electricity prices and unreliable supply. Logistics are poor. And then there's specific factors faced by the steel industry. They were under a tariff regime of 18%, which was to protect the primary tariffs, primary steel producer in South Africa, NUMSA. That's now being reduced as a result of threatened court action, but in a settlement to 10%. So they pay 10% on landed steel, and it's the price that guess what, that NUMSA charges them. So they face a high steel price, a high primary steel price, which is their for hot rolled coil, the basic input into the industry. The prices in South Africa is based off a basket of currencies, but many of the users feel this is distorted, and they're all price takers on this. So they often can't pass on increases. Now the fabricators, those are the guys who actually make products out of steel, whether it be roofs, door hinges, and a multitude of other products made from steel. They often face competition from imports that are brought in at no or very low tariffs because of South Africa's various trade deals. So they face this uneven tariff regime. Then there's the additional pressure. They must pay, before the settlement, they had to pay 12,700 as the minimum wage. That's the new entrant wage in the industry, versus a wage of 3,500 per month for the that's the national minimum wage. So it's way above that, and the rates of labor rates have increased, are more than double those at the lowest end, are more than double those in the furniture or motor industry. So this all brings extreme cost pressures on the industry, plus low demand, which means they don't have the economies of scale, particularly the fabricators. The manufacturers might well do, but even the manufacturers can't compete with, say, the big European or the big global producers at the moment, of course, the Chinese and the Indians.
Yeah, and Jonathan, one of the reasons that is put forward by the Department of Trade and Industry to maintain that tariff structure to protect ArcelorMittal, NUMSA, is that we need to protect jobs in particularly areas like Vanderbilt Park, where the main steel refinery is. But that's about 5,000 jobs, obviously very important. But downstream, as you say, the metal fabricators, the component manufacturers, they are the ones that really generate real job creation, and they're being squeezed by these high input costs and lower quality also from NUMSA.
I think it's a tremendous problem, and it would be a big political decision to no longer protect NUMSA. The DTI and C, as it's now called, has this policy, which is its core policy of localization, which is protectionism. They want to protect local producers, and they would not be able to say that the steel industry has now died. The primary steel industry has now died. South Africa is no longer the steel producer it was. This has been taken out of production. There are other steel producers from scrap and so forth, but and there's Highveld. But South Africa's core industry has gone. They couldn't face up to that, although it might indeed make economic sense.
Jonathan Katzenellenbogen, thank you very much for joining us on the CRA channel. Let's hand over to you, our viewers. Do you think that NUMSA got a raw deal in these wage negotiations? Leave your comments in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. My name is David Ansara. Until next time, take care.